Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in today's video I'm going to show you the typical use cases of the secondary flight plan or the route to function in an airliner. So I'm going to do this and the example of the Phoenix A320 secondary flight plan, since the PMDG 737 does at this moment not yet feature a route to. However, the 777 and 747 will, and this is applicable to basically any airliner, so you can use it in whichever favorite airplane you have. So there's 4 different cases where the secondary flight plan or the route to function may be used. Now, I'm going to explain every one of them to you in this video. The 4 use cases are for the engine out standard instrument departure. Do note, however, that this is only applicable for the Airbus, because, at least in my operator in the Boeing, we don't use it. So we don't use the route 2 for the engine out sit. We do it differently, and I've done a separate video on the topic of the engine out sit in the Boeing, which I'm going to link to you in the video description below in case you're interested. The next point then includes programming the subsequent flight, so the next flight that you are going to do in the air of the previous flight. And that is actually what in my airline we primarily use the route 2 function for in the Boeing 737. Now, on long-haul operations, the route 2 or secondary flight plan are used to plan en route diversions as well. For example, when flying through the Himalayas, you normally have some escape routes in case you have an engine failure, and you would program those using the route 2 or the secondary flight plan function. However, be aware that if you are flying short haul, flying through Europe, or flying through the continental United States, then the secondary flight plan would rather be used to program your next sector already. The last function that you would typically use it for is to prepare a different arrival runway. For airports with parallel runways like Munich or Frankfurt, where you only get to know very late in the arrival process which runway you're actually going to land on, it is a very good idea to use the secondary flight plan to prepare for your other runway that you can easily switch it around. Now, bear with me a little bit. Now I'm going to show you exactly how we are going to do that, and we're going to start with the departure. I've just brought up the excellent website of Blackbox 711, who has some airport information available in here in the airport infos tab. And let's have a look into where we currently are and what we are going to do. We are in Cagliari Airport right now, and we're going to depart runway 32, where we have an engine outset that takes us on track 317 to 8 DME from Cagliari VOR, and then turn right back to the VOR and hold. We can also see up here the MSA 5700 over at the VOR, 6100 in the northern sector up there. Okay, so let's go ahead and program that in the A320. So the first thing obviously is going to be to get up our secondary flight plan, and we are going to copy the active. In the Boeing, you wouldn't need to do that, but as said, this is Airbus only. In the 737, at least in my operator, we are not using route 2 for this. Okay, so our route is going to lead us on track 317 to 8 DME from Cagliari VOR. So let's program that. We take Charlie Alpha Golf /317/8 for the 8 DME point. And now we are going to insert it normally directly behind the departing airport. However, the Phoenix does have a bug there, so I need to put it one space further down. However, since this is basically the same track, it's fine like this as well. From there on, we're going to make a right-hand turn direct to Charlie Alpha Golf VOR, which we can insert over here. And then we will normally enter a holding over there, so I'm just pre-inserting this already. And for the inbound course, I'm simply using the course that the Airbus had programmed here, track 137, I've programmed 136 now, that works as well. Now what we can do is to prepare an immediate return, so we're going to go new destination, and over here we just enter any destination that would be suitable in case of an engine failure. In case of Cagliari, we can simply return back to Cagliari Airport, So we can enter, for example, ILS X-ray with an approach via out of Cagliari VOR. Like that, we are now prepared for an immediate return. We can check it on the route over here as well. So as you can see, we go straight at on 31780 make that right turn back to the VOR, and then we've got the holding over here. As we could see a little bit earlier, the MSA 6100 the highest, and since we are holding pretty much immediately over at the VOR, I would say climbing 6,100 feet is actually going to be safe, so that we don't need to climb for too long. So I'm going to enter this in the secondary flight plan down here. Here we go, 6,100 is entered as a reminder of where we want to climb. And this is how you can use the secondary flight plan in the Airbus to prepare your engine out departure. We've passed through 10,000 feet, and since we no longer lead our engine out departure, if you had one prepared in the secondary flight plan or in the Route 2, it is now time to remove that and make a copy of the active. Note that this once again only applies if you had a secondary flight plan prepared with your departure route. In our Boeing 737 operation, since we didn't have something there in first place, we wouldn't copy the active to the secondary either. However, it might be an idea to do that if you are preparing something. If you've prepared a shortcut that you're expecting but that you haven't been cleared for, it might be a good idea just to keep a copy of the flight plan as you are cleared on it available in the Route 2 or in the secondary, just to have it available in case you need it. However, that is outside the scope of operations of what we would normally do inside our 737, but it is something that you could consider good airmanship to do. Let's now have a look at how to use the Route 2 or secondary flight plan function en route, and this is actually something that we do every day on our operations on the 737, and something that I also saw being done, for example, on the Lauda A320s, who are also doing ultra short haul operations without any data link and flight plan uplink capabilities. So this is of course entering the flight plan of the next sector already now, so that you can save some time later on when preparing for the next flight. And this is actually quite easy to be done, and there is only one thing that you actually need to be aware of. So let's have a look at how this actually works. So we are going to go to the secondary flight plan, and then on secondary init, if you are flying a Boeing, you would simply go to the route page, page number 1, and then press route 2, and over there you can start your preparation. As you can see, we currently still have the copy of our current flight in here, so we are now going to change this to our new flight. And in the Boeing, you would simply enter departure and destination airport and then enter the route as you normally would when you are preparing for a flight. In the Airbus over here, there's two ways of what you can do. You can either go to delete secondary and then go to the init page and simply enter your flight. So we are next going to fly to Santiago. So Frankfurt is Santiago, and then you can basically enter pretty much everything over here for the next flight. Like so. Alright, then we go to the secondary flight plan and we select our route, and now we can enter pretty much anything that we would need over here. So, like that, we would enter the route as we normally would on pretty much every normal flight as well. The only difference, of course, is that you are not going to execute this. Okay, so, this is just a very quick demonstration, obviously, so I'm not going to enter the complete plan over here. But like this, you can basically prepare the entire next flight, and after your landing, you are simply going to take the secondary flight plan, press activate, and then you already have your route in, and you're going to save a minute or two in the turnaround that you can then spend with better duties. Let's now start preparing for our arrival into Frankfurt. If we have a look at the airport chart, we can see that Frankfurt has two runways available possibly for landing, which is 25 left and 25 right. Now a quick look at the HOTAS is also going to confirm that. Information Charlie, expect dependent parallel ILS Yankee approach 25 right or ILS approach runway 25 left. So we don't know which approach we can expect at this moment. It could be either of the two. So let's go ahead and simply plan both of them. Now, this is where the Route 2 or the secondary flight plan functionality actually is really useful as well, even though I have to add that in my airline we would not normally use the Route 2 for that, but rather we would change the active Route 1 on the fly. However, I'm going to show you how to do this using the Route 2, and I will explain the advantages of doing that. So we are approaching from the south, therefore I have initially planned runway 25 left in the active route. So if we have a look down here, we will see that runway 25 left is currently active, with the ILS approach selected. Let's go ahead and now plan runway 25 right in the secondary flight plan. So we are just going to copy the active again, and now we are simply going to select the ILS Yankee approach, runway 25 right, and for the approach via Delta Foxtrot 2426. And with that, we have our secondary flight plan pretty much prepared for the other runway. The other thing that we can do in the secondary flight plan that helps us later on is to go to secondary index and then performance, and if we now go to the approach page, you can see that we can already pre-select our barrow minimums. So let's have a look into the approach chart for runway 25 right, and here it is, ILS Yankee 25 right. And we can see that our minimums on this one for a category Charlie aircraft is 553 feet. So we can now pre-select this on here. The big advantage that this kind of preparation has is that if we simply take the secondary flight plan active, then we will immediately be prepared for the approach without having to do any further setup. So also, we can use this to verify that all the tracks and distances on the star are accurate for the approach that we are about to fly. And most importantly, that the final approach fix and the glide path are correct, and that the missed approach routing for this one is correct as well, which we can now easily verify against the chart. When we commence the approach, we simply need to take the secondary flight plan active or activate the Route 2, and with that we are then fully set up for the approach that we plan. So, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you've learned something, and if you did, then do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to reading what you think on this and how you are making use of the Route 2. Once again, I do not have any information that I could give you on an eventual implementation in the PMDG 737 in this. It may or may not happen, I do not know, but I do know that the PMDG 777 and 747 are going to have the Route 2 functionality available, so it is something that you can prepare for in either case. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you learned something today, and if you want to support the channel, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really like what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation using the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below, or maybe see you as a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new videos before they are released for everyone else. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again soon.